is this Hangout on air is live! Exclamation point. That's what it says. So, hi everybody. This is Matt Stevens in Al Ain, United Arab Emirates. Let's see, Dan and Ali. Could you both mute your microphones when you're not talking? And that's Dan Basil. Thank you, Dan. He's here in the chat. How are you doing? He's from Chicago. He's been with us many times before. And this is the 22nd of November, 2015. This is Learning Together, another Learning Together session. And this is number 302. So we've had 302 of these things so far. And today, actually, a couple of them before were where Ali Bostancioglu joined us and talked to us about his research into webheads in action. And he's very close to getting his PhD, I think a few days away, hopefully, if everything goes well. And anyway, he's going to practice on us. He's doing a Viva soon, on the 26th, I think.
Yeah.
And anyway, he's going to see if he can try out his presentation on us. And we're, really glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I might mention a moment ago we got joined by some spammers who were doing some pretty nasty sounds and things like that. So if that happens, well, we're sorry about it. We'll try to mute and eject as fast as we can, but hopefully they won't be back. So anyway, there's a chat we're following, chatwing.com/VANCESTEV, and the reason we're over there is because that way people who join the stream can see what we're talking about, because that's their way in the stream of interacting with us here in the Hangout. So if anybody else wants to say hi, you're more than welcome to. I guess Ali's got his mic on right now.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I can wait for my turn.
Okay, Nina, would you like to say hi to us? Nina in Maryland.
Hi, I'm in Maryland.
Yeah.
I was one of the informants for this research, so I'm looking forward to hearing how it came out.
Dan, how are you today in Chicago?
Hi, it's good to be here. I got a little bit of snow on the ground. I've followed webheads for a long time, been able to participate on occasion, so looking forward to hearing about the research.
Dan, how much snow do you have? I have a friend in Chicago who's coming home tomorrow, and she was wondering if she was going to be able to catch her plane.
Well, it depends on where you were. I'm on the northwest side, so we had maybe 6 to 8 inches, a little bit higher. On the south part of the city, not as much, but it's all gone now. It's on the ground, but
okay.
She's flying out today. No, shouldn't have any problem.
She's flying out tomorrow.
Shouldn't have a problem.
Okay, great.
Okay, I was about to say that I too am looking forward to hearing about Ali's research, because he's had to, because it's a research project and he doesn't want to compromise, he's had to be careful about what he says about what he's actually studying. And at the CAL conference in Antwerp, I met one of his advisors, Zoe Handley. She told me, we were talking, we were nice to meet each other. We both knew Ali. He's working on webheads. Oh, isn't that neat? That's me. And she said that she couldn't tell me actually what the real purpose of the experiment was. And this is, now I'm going to find out. I'm so excited.
Sorry about that, Vance. Yeah, I needed, as part of to make it more valid research, I needed to keep my what I know about the community sort of hidden from the participants. Is just like part of the security check, we might say, in order to make it more valid. So I wanted to keep my assumptions hidden. So if that's okay, I'm gonna start my presentation. First of all, thank you very much, Vance, for introducing me to the community. Like you said, I'm coming to the end of my PhD journey. It's been almost 4 years, and next Thursday I got this last examination. for which this presentation is going to be a practice, I hope. I'm studying at the University of York, and as you know, and as you can see in the title, I studied the Webheads in Action community with a focus on English as a foreign language teachers' professional development in using technology, and factors that affect teachers' participation in online communities, to which we will go in detail very soon. Sorry, just let me. So I'm sharing my screen, is that right, yeah?
That is correct.
Okay, so...
Now, I also would like to, Ali and I talked a moment ago, and Ali said if you have any questions, just feel free to jump in and ask them.
Exactly, yeah, please.
His beeper will be interactive. He wants people to ask questions if you have them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, during the interview, during the presentation, at the end of the presentation, whenever you want, whenever you feel the need to, please go ahead and jump in. So, what to expect from this presentation today? Once told about it, but I'll try to secondly summarize the findings of my study on the Webheads. I did, in fact, once mention that last year around this time I gave a presentation on my results at the end of my data collection, but that was just the preliminary findings of my study. And today I hope I will give you the final version of the results. So I'll start with a brief introduction by defining the key terms, and then I will touch on the literature that I reviewed, which led to the conduction of my research study. And I will present the research questions I directed, to which I sought the answers, what sort of a methodology I followed, and then finally we will go with the results and discussion of the results, which will lead us to the conclusion, which has the implications of this study and also some of the limitations. So, as you remember, the title was in English as a Foreign Language Teachers Technology Professional Development and Online Communities of Practice. For a better understanding of the study, we need to define those two terms, and I'll go with the first one, which is an online community of practice. So what is it? As you can read, it's a group of people who are brought together by a shared interest and with the aim of deepening their understanding of an area of knowledge through regular interactions by the internet, by the CMC tools that they utilize. This is the key aspect, is that they don't have to be in the same place, they use the internet to communicate to each other. And in relation to technology professional development then, for my study, I defined technology professional development as activities that are intended to not only improve teachers' skills in using technology, but also to extend their knowledge and understanding of how the content they teach and the pedagogy they employ interrelate with the technology. So there are two things to highlight in here. Technology professional development is not only about knowing how to operate technologies. It's not only the knowledge of how to use wikis or how to use blogs. It's something that to consider in relation to what you teach and how you teach, which highlights the content and the pedagogy aspects. And we should also highlight that this is an ongoing cycle. I mean, all sorts of professional development, we can argue that they should be continuous, but this becomes much more important in relation to technology, because technology is always on the move and we need to catch up with technology. So now that we define these two terms, I'll try to look into what led me to the conduction of the study. Is everything all right so far? Do you hear me, yeah?
Yeah, just a little slow on the unmute. We'll all be very polite.
Oh, okay, all right. Just to make sure, because it was a total quietness, just wanted to make sure.
We're being very considerate.
Thank you, Jess. So what I did initially, I looked into what models of professional development were available for teaching teachers about technology. And I found 4 different methods. So first one is workshops. Workshops can be as little as 1 hour, and due to this limited time of such events, such workshops, the focus of technology professional development generally remains at the level of operating technologies, but not the technology integration we talked about. And this can be still useful in certain contexts, but when we think about it, such workshops, there are a limited capacity of participants, and it might become difficult to reach all teachers through such workshops. Furthermore, because the technology professional development we defined is ongoing, we will need to train and retrain teachers, which might be difficult to achieve again. The other method, second method, is cascade training, in which we initially train a group of teachers who then become the trainers themselves to train the other teachers. Well, this method can be used to reach large audiences in a really short time, can be effective, but in doing so, we might neglect contextual factors that might be inherent in their context. So what I mean, what we teach to teachers might not necessarily apply to their classroom, because maybe they don't have the necessary equipment about which you are teaching them. And also, there is a problem of volunteering and willingness, because teachers are already overwhelmed by the amount of teaching they need to do. And if these extra efforts that they put into such training are not recognized, then you might not find enough volunteers to participate and teach and train other teachers. On to the third one.
Yeah, that one is really important, that the trainers model, you know, what that they model what they're teaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
you're talking about training in a face-to-face environment. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah, those are all face-to-face. Yeah, thinking of face-to-face context. Yeah.
Ali,
Okay.
could you quickly define cascade training? You might have said it, but I was looking at the Chatwing chat and I missed it.
Yeah, it's where you get an initial group of volunteering teachers and you train them, and then those teachers become your trainers who would train other teachers. So it's like a top-down approach, and you aim. It's really useful when you aim to reach really large audience in a short time. So who you train become the trainers at in the second stage. Would that be enough explanation? I hope that was enough. So I'm going to the third method that I found. So the next one is mentoring or coaching. In mentoring and coaching model, teachers are assigned mentors who would help them as their needs arise. This is really important. It's when they need it. When the need arises, they will get help. Compared to workshops and cascade training, this method of professional development can provide teachers with individualized learning opportunities and feedback over a longer period of time, which will better suit the technology professional development we have been talking about. However, it might be difficult to find mentors for all teachers. So assigning mentors to all teachers might not be very realistic in certain contexts, I believe. And the last one is design-based training, which, so how to define design-based training? What do I mean? What I mean is, it's similar to workshops, but it takes over a longer period of time, and it is tailored according to the specific needs of the teachers whom are being trained. In such training, teachers continue to collaborate even after the training is over. Thus, such training can lead to communities of practice, which is actually the focus of the present study, but my focus is online, not the face-to-face ones. To sum up, well, each of the methods, each of the approaches that I talked about can be useful to an extent for the technology professional development. But the low levels of technology uptake in the EFL classrooms, as reported by researchers all over the world, suggest that it is worthwhile to investigate alternative means for TPD. Therefore, it has been the premise of my study to investigate one such alternative, which is the online communities of practice approach for technology professional development. So why OCoPs? Well, the reason for investigating such an alternative is because an OCoP approach can potentially provide teachers with opportunities that have been discussed in the literature to be effective. I'll stop a minute. Oh, we got newcomer. Oh,
yes,
okay.
Rita has just joined us.
Hi, Rita.
Hello, hello. Sorry to be late.
It's all right. Okay, I'm continuing then. So an OCoP approach can provide learners, teachers with opportunities that have been discussed to be effective in the literature. So it can provide teachers with mentoring and coaching opportunity. It's participant-driven in the sense members can decide on what area of knowledge or interest they want to deepen their knowledge in. It's also collaborative, and provided that they have online access, such form of professional development can provide teachers with just-in-time rather than just-in-case support. Finally, it can more easily be sustained over time since teachers are not necessarily required to travel, and they would commit the time they want to commit to the community. I would like to add that since Webheads in Action seemed to be a vibrant and active community, I decided to conduct my study with the Webheads. So, in relation to the OCoPs, what sort of theories of learning guide the online community of practice? There are two main theoretical frameworks that I followed and utilized in my study in relation to online communities. First one is sociocultural learning, Vygotsky's sociocultural learning theory, and the other one is Lau and Wenger's cited learning theory. Well, I don't want to, I'm sure you are familiar with those two theories, but I'll just quickly tell, and I don't want to take too much time. The premise of those theories is that we learn out of our interactions with our environment. Learning is a social process, and as we interact, we learn about our environment and we turn them into knowledge. So, four main components of this cited learning is identity, learning as becoming, community, learning as belonging, meaning, learning as experiencing, living, and learning as doing. The last aspect is the practice. Now, I would like to quickly let you look at this figure, which is Wenger et al.'s common degrees of community participation. So not everybody contributes to the community at the same level. You would realize Vance maybe is more active than some others. Some others may not be as active as. So as you can see, there are peripheral members at the very outside, then there are more active members in the middle, and then at the core there is this core group that carries out the community. I would like to quickly mention an legitimate peripheral participation, or LPP. This is a term that is related to cited learning, and the premise of the online communities of practice and this sociocultural learning theory is that provided that they get enough support, those peripheral members, through their interactions, either observing or participating in events, eventually those peripheral members would become more active and move towards the core of the community, thus learning taking place. They will become more competent in the practice for which this community is gathered for. Now, going back to the study, I have directed 2 questions. I sought answers to these 2 questions in the light of what I have been discussing. So, does participation in the Webheads in Action online community of practice lead to EFL teachers' perceived technology professional development? And 2, based on that OCoPs can be an alternative for TPD, what factors affect member participation in the Webheads in Action community? What methodology did I follow? Well, because my aim was finding the answers to my research questions, I tried to use the methods that would give me the best answers to what I asked. Therefore, I used a mixed method strategy. In doing so, I utilized both qualitative and quantitative methods, which included a questionnaire, interviews, and I also collected Webhead in Action's Yahoo group message history and analyzed those community interactions. Well, I believe by utilizing these many methods, multiple methods, to answer the research questions helped me in triangulating my results, which I believe again increased the reliability of my study. And here we are to the awaited results and discussion. Wes, can I ask you, is it readable? This is, you know, they say picture is worth 1,000 words. I tried to develop a model of my findings, but I don't know if you can read it.
Not very well. Maybe if you zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, my screen is way too small to read it. You're going to have to talk us through it.
Yeah, sure. It's just, yeah, no problem. Okay, then I'll go ahead.
Yeah, too difficult for me to read, Ali.
Okay,
but
I'll share it later.
Yeah, you could zoom it and then scroll to different parts of it, you know, so this is the screen share.
Yeah, that's very good.
Mm-hmm. Or you can do both. We could probably see it. We can even ask in the stream.
Is it readable enough now?
Well, you're not sharing yet.
No. Oh, sorry. I turned off somehow. Sorry about that.
That's good though, because now we get to see who you are. Because before we had only your slides. So this is Ali Bostancioglu, who's been doing research over the last 4 years. You said on Webheads. And of course, I guess you really got.
Well, last 2 years. Yeah. Last 2 years of it was specifically on Webheads. The first 2 years was about figuring out what to do. What happened? I'm trying to share my screen.
Can you get the white arrow in the green background, which is on the upper?
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. So is that okay now?
Getting better. Yeah.
That's already almost readable. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
I can read the bigger. I can read the capital letters.
Okay,
no, that's good. That's good. Yes, I can read that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Maha read that, and the Maha Abdelmonim is in the stream interacting with us. We actually have 3 viewers.
Yes, very good now. Thank you very much, Ali.
Okay, so I tried to look into develop a summary of my results. So Webheads, I found they create a sense of belonging to the community. And how do they do that? Well, there are various means. As you know, Webheads are gathered to learn about educational uses of technology, and Webheads are all over the world. So what happens? Webheads contribute to the community at different levels depending on their level of participation. Everybody tries to help each other. There is some moderation, leadership, and technology stewarding in this community. What I mean with technology stewarding is that community's needs in relation to technology is being taken care of by those who seem to be more active participants, and they take care of the community in this sense. Webheads, they utilize computer-mediated communication tools that are easy to use and intertwined in members' lives, i.e. email, Skype. And Webheads is being governed by a culture, by implicit norms, which I found that supporting each other, not only in relation to their teaching practice, but also social support. They are polite and show respect to each other. They avoid spamming, religious or political discussions, because this is a really diverse community. You got members all over the world, and such norms become really important. The Webhead interactions I found lead to products which can be considered as their practice, and I've grouped them into two: artifacts within the community and artifacts outside the community. Within the community is Learning2gether sessions, which we are doing currently, and the other one is the message history in the Yahoo group. Well, I focus on Yahoo group because I know there is Webhead in Action Facebook group, Google Plus group, but the interactions there are mainly for updating people and not really discussion oriented, but Yahoo group is much more discussion oriented, so I only included that here. And outside community artifacts, I would say, are the electronic village online session that the Webheads have been doing. More specifically is the Becoming a Webhead session. So what happens out of this? Members, what I found is members perceived that they have developed their skills and knowledge of technology integration out of their participation. And those members also promote the community in their circles. Well, Becoming a Webhead also does the same thing, promote and help the community. And what happens? Those external activities contribute to the community by bringing in new Webheads. So we can argue this is like an ongoing cycle. Well, this is a very quick summary of the results, and we will now go into more detail of each aspect. Let me just... So, first research question. Do people consider their participation leads to professional development? Well, in order to answer this question, I used the questionnaire data, the interviews, and the message history. I asked Webheads to rate themselves on a 7-point Likert scale, where 7 was strong agreement and 1 represented strong disagreement. Well, now, as you can see here, the ranks is 6.64. Well, Webheads considered their knowledge of technology integration to be high. At this point, I would also like to quickly define what I mean with technology knowledge. We already talked about that. Technology knowledge is knowledge of operating and using technologies. Technological pedagogical knowledge stands for knowledge of an awareness and understanding of how technology could be used to try out new pedagogies or the teaching approaches. And technological content knowledge would mean that an awareness of how a technology can be used to teach a specific content. For example, using wikis to teach about writing can be considered as technological content knowledge. You use that specific technology to teach that specific language content. And technological pedagogical content knowledge is sort of a mix of the both. I would like to go in more detail of this, but we would be really going out of the results, so I don't want to focus too much on that. Now, as you can see, with more complex knowledge bases, the perceived reported scores of the members have decreased. Now, if we remember these participation levels, there are peripheral members, active members, core members. And the assumption of sociocultural learning theory is that as they participate, people would learn and become more competent in whatever their practice is. I wanted to test out this hypothesis. And what I did is, you remember that I collected the Yahoo group message data, and I also collected information of who my participants were, and I anonymized later on their names. But what I did was I checked each member's level of participation in the community, and I grouped them into peripheral members, active members, and core members. As you can see, there were 27 peripheral, 14 active, and 3 core members as EFL teachers. By the way, there were also ESL, English as a Second Language teachers, but for the purposes of my study, I have used their answers in other places, but not for this aspect. So as you can see, for peripheral members, their perceived knowledge, the mean for their perceived knowledge of technology knowledge and other aspects have been the lowest, and it has increased for active and core members. And when I did run the non-parametric tests, I found out that this difference between member scores was significant for TCK, TPK, and TPAC, but not technology knowledge. Well, what does that mean? Just a second. Well, this insignificance in the TK was not surprising to me, because in the interviews, members, all interviewees, regardless of their participation, reported that they learned about operational skills such as using wikis and blogs through the Webheads, through their participation in the Webheads in Action community. When it comes to other 3 aspects that have been significant, there could have been 2 different explanations. Well, first is, you can argue that those people might have had those perceived skills prior to joining the Webheads in Action. So that is not the Webheads, but they already had those skills before joining the Webheads, and because they already had those skills, they have become more active participants and contributors to the community. Well, that's one explanation. And the other explanation, which suits the sociocultural learning theory, is that in time, they learned about technology integration process through their interactions in the community, and as they participated and learned from the community, they become more frequent participants. Well, I decided to go with the second explanation because of what interviewees reported. As you can see, those quotes, I will let you read them for a minute. Those quotes support that it was their participation in the community that led Webheads to develop themselves professionally. I'll give you a little 10-15 seconds more.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that, because you can't really say that people have the skills, because we're all learning so much more. Some skills do enable you to push your level higher, whereas when people come in with a lower skill level, of course, they're going to struggle a little bit more. But still, yeah, for sure, those of us, considering we've been here for 15 years, we're here because we're learning continually.
Yeah, exactly. So in response to the first question, those results highlight the importance of interaction and collaboration, which support the assumptions of sociocultural learning theory, as we have been arguing. Thus, we can conclude that an OCoP approach can be a viable alternative to technology professional development. Well, not only technology, but all sorts of professional development, I would argue. Now, going on to the other aspect, which was so if OCoP approach is viable alternative, then what factors affect participation, members' participation? As I have briefly discussed before, is two factors emerge in relation to this First one is the creation of a sense of community and belonging to that community in the Webheads in Action community, and the dynamism inherent in the Webheads in Action community. We will look into each of those in detail now. But let's first define what we mean by a sense of community. A sense of community has been defined as a feeling that members have of belonging, that members matter to one another, and the shared faith that members' needs will be met through their commitments to be together. Well, there are various means in which Webheads in Action develop this sense of community and this sense of belonging to the Webheads in Action community. Well, first one is that there is an initiation process in the Webheads in which members develop a community, a shared community identity around the shared domain, which we defined previously as learning about the technology and its integration in education. Webheads manage that initiation process through the Becoming a Webhead electronic village online session. Becoming a Webhead session integrates newcomers to the community and provides a smooth transition by providing a bridge to the community. What do I mean? Well, people get to know other Webheads as well as new ones like themselves in these Becoming a Webhead sessions. And also, they learn about the CMC tools that the community uses. So it becomes easier for them when they join the community. Well, it's worth noting, however, that not all Becoming a Webhead graduates became members of the community. Not all of them joined the Webheads in Action community. Only those who were willing to participate and become part of the community joined the Webheads. This highlights the importance of voluntary participation for the success of online communities. It has previously been found that when teachers have to, when they are pushed or they have been told to participate in such communities, those communities didn't sustain it themselves, and that they have closed not very much time after their creation. So what can be done? Well, I found that in order to increase voluntary participation, we can make the shared domain of the community explicit. As you know, what the Webheads are gathered together for is their interest in technology and its educational uses, which has been highlighted in communities' public pages, both in the Yahoo group, Facebook group, and Google Plus group. In addition to those, anyone who looks through the public message history, well, Yahoo group, you need to become a member to send messages, but in fact, all of the messages in the Yahoo group are publicly available, and anyone who wants to look at them can actually look through them, which can, and I would argue, increases the visibility of the Webheads in Action. Sorry to jump between the different topics, but I would like to remind you that Webheads is an international community, and another factor that I found contributing to the sense of community was the norms that have guided interactions in the Webheads. So what those norms were? Well, I identified 6 of those, and I grouped them as do's, things that you can do and encouraged to do, and things that you are encouraged not to do. So providing support is the first one of them, but the Webheads, I found, don't only provide support in the technological aspect which relates to their practice, but they also provide social support. Well, technology is bigger here, as a bigger circle, because usually interactions of the Webheads is centered around, and which is understandable because their interest is the technology. Those support is usually given with technology, well, by people sharing their resources. When people ask questions, they are being responded to, they got answers. And I want to add quickly that Webheads, when people ask questions to the Webheads, they are responded very fast. Their request has been responded to and taken care of very quickly. I found that the quickest response during the time I looked into Yahoo message history, I collected 9-month messages from October 2013 till June 2014. I collected 9-month messages of the Webheads in Action community, and I found that they were really quick in responding to messages, with the fastest response being received in 14 minutes. I know that because I also, when I became a member, I choose to receive every message as an email, which had a timestamp, and I saw that it was really quick. The quickest message response was received in 14 minutes, just 14 minutes. Well, that's not only that. There was also a social element of support. Well, people share their feelings. People share things that happen in their lives in this community, and those are welcome. And you would know, if you are teaching, that teaching can be an isolating job in certain aspects. In this sense, Webheads seem to be really good in responding to social needs of teachers, I would say. Respecting others and being polite. Well, I found that in the message history, referring to terms such as please, dear, hugs from, thanks, thank you, best wishes, cheers from, sorry for cross-posting, those sort of terms was really common. People trying to be really kind in this community. And they also celebrated each other's holidays, such as Eid, which is a Muslim holiday celebrated by Muslims, Christmas holiday, which is celebrated by Christians. I should add also that in order to ensure group cohesion, Web has also avoided political and religious topics and also spamming. However, I should note that people are encouraged to promote their work in the Webheads. It wouldn't count as spamming if what you are sharing or what you are trying to promote is in relation to community's aims. Well, continuing. So we can say, while each individual is unique and important to the community, these norms emphasize the importance of group cohesion, sorry for my pronunciation, which can be considered contributing to the development of a sense of community in which each individual is important and unique. In this sense, each individual has their unique contribution to the Webheads community, whether it is promoting the community in their circles, answering help requests, sharing their expertise, and or organizing community events. As a result of this, members have reported that they feel safe and secure in this international community. And this, I believe, increases their motivation to follow and participate in the Webheads in action. Now on to the second theme that I found, which was dynamism, is that two subheadings. In relation to dynamism, there is an ongoing recruitment of members to the Webheads in action community, and the nature of their interest, that is technology, is dynamic. Again, going to detail of this, I'll say I should highlight that members join and leave communities. So these people join for a reason, and maybe when they realize that reason, no matter maybe just an answer to a question or continuous learning, eventually people join and leave. This inherent community turnover means there is a need to recruit new members to the community, and Webheads in Action has been good in doing that, I will say, because as we already talked about, becoming a Webheads sessions which ran for 10 years until 2 years ago have been not only the initiation process but also continuously brought members to the community, which I believe contributed to the sustainment of the Webheads in Action community. Well, the other aspect, dynamic nature of the shared domain. You may realize that there has been 2 previous studies with the Webheads, one conducted by Johnson and other one by Daria Klaus-Önal, you may remember. When I looked into these 2 studies, I found that Webheads' aim has always been learning about integration of technology into education. But Wenger et al. Argues that the shared domain, the interest that members are brought together for, is dynamic and it changes over time. And I was thinking why it didn't change in the Webheads in Action community, and I found that technology itself is changing. So there has been a change, not in the shared domain, but the technology itself. And over the years, when we look through for example, the CMC tools that Webheads used, such as tapped in the past, we have been, well, I consider myself as a Webhead as well now. We have been using tapped in. I have never used it myself, of course. And nowadays, at the moment, we are in Google Hangouts. So because there is new things coming out every day, it provided Webheads with new topics to cover and experiment in and look into all the time. So to sum up, the creation of a sense of community and belonging to this community seems to be important for the survival of not only the Webheads, I would argue, for every community. And the inherent community turnover means, also community should be able to recruit new members on an ongoing basis. Sorry about that, just a second. So now what does that mean? What's the implications of such findings? What would the implications of those findings be? What we can conclude from this, I would say, this is what I thought can be taken out, and please feel free to interrupt and add or argue against what I thought is possible. I think we can better inform teachers of the potential benefits of participation in online communities. What those benefits can be is authentic, relevant, and flexible learning opportunities, not constrained by time or space. I think we need to inform teachers about such possibilities and make them volunteer, maybe want to participate in this form of professional development. Also, this form of learning should be recognized, acknowledged, and supported by the policymakers, I believe, because this is legitimate. As we have seen, people seem to have developed their skills, and I think acknowledging and supporting such participation by policymakers would maybe even increase it more. Each OCoP should have a clear aim to help teachers decide which communities to join. Well, Webheads in Action is not the only community out there. There are perhaps many others. And by making the aim of the community clear to members, you are more likely to get people who are really interested in developing their understanding and knowledge of that area of knowledge. And also, this is something to be done by leaders. The communities should be networked. And I believe there should be a network of different communities, because not each community have the same aim. So there are different communities with different aims. And networking these communities would bridge the knowledge and expertise of these communities, and also offer a better visibility for the community, through which it can contribute to the member recruitment process. And also, I believe each community should develop mechanisms in which they will continuously, on an ongoing basis, continue to recruit new members. And lastly, there should be community norms which would guide interactions in the community. So those were the implications I thought I would take out from this study. Of course, each research study, you may be aware, has some limitations. Mine, I believe, had two main limitations. The first one is the generalizability of the findings. As you know, this is just findings from one case, the Webheads in Action community, and someone studying a different community might have found a different findings. But what I can offer is the transferability of the findings. What I mean is that in my PhD dissertation, I tried to create a thick description of the Webheads in Action community. I tried to detail every step. I tried to detail every finding, and I tried to use multiple sources in defining and describing what I found. And I hope once I am done with my PhD, I'll be sharing my dissertation with the community, and you can check whether those findings, those things that we have been arguing and discussing today, is transferable to your own context. Another limitation is the nature of the qualitative research by itself. Even though I utilize both qualitative and quantitative methods, I would say it was a mainly qualitative study, and it has been my own experiences of the Webheads in Action community that has led me to those interpretations. Maybe someone else studying the same thing might find different interpretations of the same results. But in order to minimize this effect, I try to triangulate my findings by the multiple methods that I have used. Well, one final remark then. You may be familiar with this, but there is a Webhead theme song. And in this Webhead theme song, I have the things that I found in my study. I was able to see like hints of those aspects in the Webhead theme song that I saw and read. So what did that suggest? I sensed this sense of belonging to the Webheads in Action in this song, members' willingness to help each other on both social and practice-related aspects, and answering each other in a timely manner. Well, if you can see this is the Webhead theme song, I'm sure you are really familiar with. But as you can see, these diverse communities all over the world, and it's ongoing, it's continuous, because because they are all over the world, there is always someone that can contribute and that can help respond to member queries. Either it is about practice, about teaching, or it is about social. There are experts in this community, they support you, they become your friends, and you learn together through these experiences. I would like to say, lastly, thank you to all the Webheads who participated in my study. It's been really great. I should add, this 4 years has been really difficult for me, myself, personally, but studying the Webheads in Action community, it's been really good, it's been really great, and if I didn't enjoy that, I don't think I would have been able to finish it. So in this sense, I really want to thank you all. And please, anyone who has questions, I would love to answer that. It will be good practice.
Could I have 4 questions I would like to ask.
Yeah.
The first question was, did you look at other communities of practice in addition to Webheads?
Sorry, I didn't catch the last part. Did I look to other communities of practice in which aspect?
In terms of to see, are there others that you look at that have the same longevity or the same depth of participation?
Yeah, well, what I did was I was searching for communities, and I found a couple of them on Facebook and Google+. But when I looked to the level of interaction in those communities, I saw that Webheads was much more active. So all my research has been conducted on the Webheads based on this assumption that they are more active, so they are more likely to give me the answers I wanted to find.
In the research paper that you're writing, do you happen to list the other groups that you look at?
No, I haven't, because what I did was because my focus was English as a foreign language teachers, I have done some keyword searches on Facebook and Google+, and there were many. So what I did is I have reported that I looked for this in a community, but I didn't really list which communities they were.
Okay. Second question, did you try to map the size of the Webheads group? In other words, the number of participants that are active or inactive from 2002 up until the present?
Yeah, what I did is, well, I don't know how many members of the Webheads there are, and I think in our last presentation last year around this time, Vance mentioned that Webheads are all around the place. They don't necessarily have to be members or register themselves to the community. There are people who identify themselves with the Webheads. But for my study, I needed to limit that, and what I did was, for me, a Webhead was who was registered to Webhead places, and the numbers on Facebook, last time I checked, there were about 250. In the Yahoo group, there were about 750 that Vance told me. And in the Google+, I think it was around 200. Now, we don't know how many of those people are actually following the community. What I did was, during this 9 months data collection of the Yahoo messages, I break it into 3-month periods, and based on members' activities in this 9 months, I have categorized them as peripheral or active or core members. So this classification has been based on the amount of interactions those members had with the community. I should add, Wenger et al. Wenger argues that community participation is fluctuating. So someone who has been a core member maybe in 2002 is not necessarily a core member now in 2015. They might have disengaged from the community. Maybe they no longer are interested in the community. So, and when you think about the Yahoo group, sorry, I'm jumping between the two, but I believe and I am sure that there are many members who no longer follow the community but still register to the Yahoo group. But what I can tell you is during the 9-month message collection, in every 3-month period, there has been around 60 unique participants posting a message to the Webheads in Action community.
I think for your research paper, it would be significant if you could create a graphic that would show numbers related to this. I think that looking at this from the outside, putting some numbers to it would help to understand scale. Vance, you might have some information going back into the when the web had started about probably a small group of people that grew year after year. And that would be interesting to look at.
Yeah. You mean to compare the number of members in 2002 when it was created to the number of members now? Is that correct?
Right. And if you stretch that out from one end to the other end, and then put segments in the middle, you could show the total group and the active participants, total group maybe below the line, active participants or above the line, that at any given time might give a sense of participation and also might show a pattern of growth, which is in a continuity of participation over such longer period of time.
Yeah, it's definitely something worth looking into in the paper that I want to write about the Webheads. Yeah, thank you. Any questions?
I had one more question.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
It's the discussion of the role of the facilitator. Vance has been the anchor as long as I've been part of this, and I think his style, his welcoming, everything he does really makes it comfortable for strangers to join in. If you look at other communities of practice that did or did not grow, I suspect the role of the facilitator or the core group would have a lot to do with whether they did or did not grow.
I think, well, because your voice is being cut in the middle, I thought you were talking about the role of facilitator. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, I did look into that as well, but because I needed to summarize all my findings in this small presentation, I couldn't touch on that. But yes, I did look into role of facilitation, role of the core members in sustaining the community. And I can say, like, those people and every member seem to be aware of this facilitation and they appreciate that. And like Vance have been referred to as a kingpin or the father of the Webheads, or the core members, the group of core members have been referred to as the skeleton and the ribs of the community. So in this sense, yes, it's really important that the community is being looked after, is taken care of through the efforts that the team of core members put in. And it's not only giving their time and effort, but it's also helping the community in the technical aspects, like Vance creating this Learning Together sessions, or the Becoming a Webhead sessions run by Daphne, and Sorry about that. Teresa, Daphne and Teresa. So yeah, this is really important, and it is really core features of a community that those core members carry the community activities and move the community along its learning path. I hope that answers more or less your question.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
I had one question. Did you look at the participation in Learning2gether as well as the other things?
No, unfortunately, because I was running out of time, and I had already collected a huge amount of data to analyze. I couldn't. Maybe someone who wants to do research in the future might consider that. I really wanted to, actually. But another aspect of Learning2gether is the timing. As you can see, now you are in the USA and it's possibly morning. But there are webheads all around the world, and the timing is not always great. But what I found that even though people don't participate in Learning2gether, they are following the recordings of the events. By the way, thank you, Elizabeth. She just left. Yeah.
You can't figure out who listens to the recordings. I don't think there's any way to find that out.
Not that I know of, I would say. Maybe there are, but I don't know if there's such.
You may be able to find out who's subscribed, but that doesn't tell you whether they listen or not.
I would say out of the people I interviewed, there has been quite a few who reported that they are actually watching the recordings at later stages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Learning2gether is a little bit like Tapped In, although Tapped In was, I think, more social, and Learning2gether is more professional. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting to me that the people who come to Learning2gether on a more or less regular basis are often not the same people that used to come to Tapped In, which was at a similar time on the same day. I just think that's interesting. I don't know why that would be, but it is a little bit of different purpose, I think.
Maybe because those people may not as active as they used to be in the community. So it's about the ongoing, I believe. It's just what I think. I don't have proof for that. But so, as I discussed, people come and go, and maybe they are not as interested as they used to be, or maybe the timing. I'm not sure. It could go with either explanation, I guess.
There's probably a little bit of all of it. Vance, do you have a theory?
Well, yeah, I was going to say that the people in Tapped In, actually what we used to do, we used to meet in Tapped In and then we might go to another venue. For example, right. I remember one time, Nina, you led us into Second Life, and we did a tour in Second Life, so it was kind of typical to go to Tapped In and then sort of on the fly go to other places, depending on what people wanted to show us. And also, because it was text chat, people like they're doing right here, we have text chat here. If you look in the text chat, you see that there's a lot of small talk there, which is what people do. They like to do that. There's some emphatic socialization going on. So people who liked to do that liked to be in Tapped In and do that kind of thing. And then now, when I took it to Learning2gether, or I got Learning2gether, what I was trying to do was, I was thinking that was kind of losing the focus at the time, so I wanted to...
That Tapped In was.
Yeah, Tapped In was, it was not really, it was attracting fewer and fewer people. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It was,
yes.
Yeah, the crowds tended to be the same people, but they were smaller. So I thought to really put some energy into it. And we just done Webheads in Action Online Convergence, and Kim Cofino and Jim Utrecht gave a talk on speed geeking, and that I thought, oh, that's really neat. You know, that's where the Second Life. Let's go to Second Life and speed geek there. We'll have set up kiosks and we'll take each other around. And so I had in mind, I used to call this speed geeking. That's where Teresa did the first one. It was a speed geek.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, but it was sort of evolved into what it is. But basically, it was something. I think it draws in a wider variety of people because there's always something for someone. You know. So.
And it's becoming much more than Tapped In ever was, because it spills out into other days, and you include all kinds of online conferences, and you know, this is part of the shepherding that you do. You know, that if you weren't there doing it, and I mean, do you have an estimate of the time it takes you in a week to do all the publicizing in the different places, to, you know, to actually run the thing on the day that it's there? You're usually present for that, and then to post recordings in all these places, because I get multiple announcements from you on all kinds of different media reminding me about Learning Together events.
I should start a spam business. That's what I get through my retirement.
Yeah. It must take you an incredible amount of time, or maybe you do it so much that you've become super efficient at it.
Yeah, that's true, and also I really like to do it. So you know, it's just something that. Yeah. Ali actually asked me, and when he interviewed me, he asked me about the process. So it's probably in his dissertation somewhere.
Yeah.
Vance, have you thought of, or are you mentoring someone younger than yourself to take on your role?
Vance is forever young, Dan.
I know, but I'm probably a little bit older than Vance is, and I keep looking for younger people that would take over my role, and it's hard to find.
Right.
And the finding younger people, all those students who are part of Webhead classrooms would seem to be a breeding ground for future Vances.
Yeah.
There is only one Vance, Dan.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope we're modeling for a whole lot of people. This is the idea, you know. So we're really people we meet. You know, if we meet 20 people, maybe one or two will, oh, that's really good Kool-Aid, you know, and they'll just come along with us, and each of them will, man, what's this, you know? But the thing is that. You know, the people we do include or who choose to come. You know, Ali mentioned recruitment, but it's not really recruitment. It's because we don't really actively recruit. This is people find us. You know, so you could look, for example, at our Facebook pages. I'm kind of surprised because multiliteracies, which has been this is another thing. It's hard to measure. Who are the Webheads? Maria Colusa was just here. She came to us through multiliteracies. You know, whether or not I don't even think she is in the Webheads group, or she might be. I don't know, but it's hard to say who is a Webhead and who do you include in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to come up there, Ali.
Here's an original Webhead.
And maybe disagree with you if I have not misunderstood you when you said that what really makes a difference with the Webheads is the interaction that you find there is. And I would disagree there, because they also belong to other groups, other communities, and interaction can be as good, or maybe there is more interaction, in fact, in other communities than in the Webheads. But what really makes the difference is this feeling of belonging, this strong bond of affection that joins us all. And this, of course, has to do what we've been saying about Vance, because he's been the one who keeps this bond alive. And this is, in fact, what keeps us together. And this happens, I mean, the same as happens with friends. When you don't see a friend of yours you love a lot, and you haven't seen him for many months, and then you really when you meet this friend again, you feel that everything is going on in the same way, and that the feeling is there anyway, despite distances and maybe time that has gone by. So this is what really makes a difference between the Webhead community and other communities.
I would definitely agree to that. What I was trying to say is, I chose the Webheads in Action community because I had a couple different options. And the reason why I decided to go with the Webheads was the level of activity, because it was higher compared to the other communities that could potentially have become my case study. So it was just a reason for studying the Webheads, but not the reason for why Webheads has been around for such a long time.
Right.
I definitely agree with you with the
the
sense
human
of belonging.
component is what makes the community different, which is in fact the most valuable component in any kind of relationship, right?
Yeah, I would agree to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really crucial. Also, there was a kind of an offshoot community that I joined for a while, but it didn't have the same feeling. So
I belong to. Sorry, Nina.
No, I kind of faded out in that community, and I've kind of faded out in Webheads as well.
What we do,
but I still feel like a Webhead, even though I'm not very active anymore.
But not me either. But you feel you belong. I mean, you still belong, and this is your community. I'm also a member of Google Certified Teachers, very active, very knowledgeable people, but it's not the same. I mean, it's more academic in one sense. I wouldn't say more academic, it's only academic. But this bond of affection makes this community unique in that sense. It's both academic and human-like. I mean, it's quite...
Exactly. What I found is, while I'll say maybe 90% of the topics being discussed in the Yahoo group is about academic stuff, but there is this 10%, and it wouldn't be correct to say, okay, in a community there should be that level of social interactions. I don't think we can conclude that, but we can say that there is this level, this social support over there, which is visible and covers a significant part of the Webheads interactions. And I compared, there was one other study in which it has been reported that there has been only 2% of social interactions, and the remaining community interactions has been around the interest of the community, shared interest of the community, which relates to teaching. And this was not enough. This 2% of social support was not enough for this community. Now, again, I am not saying there should be 10%, 12% of social support, but there should be something that people can feel that if they have the need to, if they need support. Yeah, exactly. Trust.
Yeah, but you're speaking about social support. I would just change the adjective, and I would say human support.
Yeah.
Which is different, absolutely different. You can find social support in many circles of yours, and you wouldn't feel this support as strongly as you would feel the support made by someone who, put something else into it.
Speaking of human support, I'd like to give a shout out to Sabrina Wilson, who's listening in on the stream.
Sabrina.
She and Gary
were
our host and hostess in near Tarragona. What is it called? Unfortunately, it's not pronounced the way it's spelled. So Altafulla, yeah. Okay, so they have a house there, right near the beach, really laid-back place, very rustic, and we enjoyed it so much.
What country is that?
In Spain, yeah. And now Sabrina invited us through the social network to come and stay there because I was going to give to give a presentation there. And as it turned out, I wasn't funded, so that was really a lot of help because, transportation, the place to stay, sort of shared meals. But anyway, it was just really great. And it was just so nice of them to host us there. But that's actually a good example of the Webheads community and how it supports one another. So many of us have traveled overseas and met other people.
Again, this is something I couldn't touch in this presentation, but yeah, meeting each other in real life has also been another positive aspect. And like you said, people reported that they felt as if they have known each other for ages, forever.
Yes, definitely.
So this shows, well, yes, they are nice people, but this is also showing that Webheads' online presence is really strong because they have been able to develop those friendships even without seeing each other. I'm talking, well, now we have this hangout in the air through which we can see each other, but in the past, those technologies where you can see each other face in online sessions, they haven't been common. So again, this shows how strong the Webheads online presence is.
Well, that's a really good point because when we started with the
and
EFL
also support, trust, and also is
yeah. I was just going to say when we started with the EFI, English for Internet, one of the things we did uniquely was we got pictures of people. People started sending pictures. We put them on our webpage. So we had kind of a Facebook, and this is 1998. And then in 2002, when Webheads in Action started, we did the same thing. It wasn't common to share photos on the web, but we have this famous gallery of participants, both in the English students, and in the professional group Webheads in Action. And then 2000 and just a little bit later, Dugimus in Moodle made it. His innovation was to bring faces identify the faces with people's posts. But that was after 2002, and in 2004, Zuckerberg and Facebook. So
and then in 2007 was when a large group of us went to Seattle, to the TESOL convention in Seattle, which remains for me the high point of all the Webhead encounters. It was so exciting, and I was a very new Webhead at that time. So here was this raft of people that were all of a sudden my friends by virtue of being in this community. It was just unbelievable. I will never forget that.
I should want to add to this. There has been one participant for whom who has expressed that being in the Webheads has worked like a psychotherapy for her. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
great.
I'm not surprised.
It's been a psychotherapy for me. I didn't even know I needed psychotherapy. Sabrina mentions that she met Rita and Elizabeth Ann in Dublin over Halloween weekend.
Yes.
Maybe you didn't recognize her. She could have been in costume.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, small world.
Small world, really.
The Webheads world is a big world and a small world at the same time.
Yeah, true, Nina.
And one thing to what you said, Ali, it's not necessarily that people meet each other and then know each other well online. I think it's the reverse is true. We meet each other online and then we encounter.
True.
It definitely works that way because we get to know each other inside and out. You're in the head, and then you meet the person, and it's like you've known this person for.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. It's an amazing feeling when you meet a Webhead face to face that you've never met before.
When we meet Ali. When we meet Ali, we know this guy.
Right.
Definitely.
And Dan.
I think in 2013 there was this World Call conference in Glasgow, and I think Rita was there.
Yeah.
And I was in the same session with her, but by the time I didn't know her.
Right. Yeah.
See, if you had
Yeah. We missed
been in
each
this group
other.
before, you would have seen each other across the room. You would have been talking
Yeah.
and having lunch together, you know. So, yeah.
It would be good to see more researchers like Ali looking at groups like this, because I see a lot of people denigrating online communities, online interactions. They're weak. You can't build relationships. And yet in Webheads, it proves that people from different places who participate on an ongoing basis, no matter how frequently, they can build enough strength of relationship that when they do meet face to face, they have a strong starting point for something that grows to greater depth and goes back and forth between face to face and online over time. And I don't know how many people are doing research to actually describe that process in any depth.
It's actually something that I sort of suggest as a future research study, because there is not much research on communities of practice in relation to educational context. So there are a lot of publications about communities of practice in the business side, business area, and organizations, but not in the teacher communities. So it's something that I hope there will be more future studies in the future, and after a body of knowledge has been produced in this area, maybe a meta-analysis of those studies can give us more generalizable findings.
Well, and I think that in the social services area, there might be even fewer communities of practice than there are among the educator community. And I think it would be important to, again, your meta-analysis, the collective body of information that provides evidence and weight to how people use the internet to connect, learn, build collaborations, solve pretty complex problems that are facing us all.
Yeah. I hope there will be.
Okay. Let's see. We probably might want to let Ali get back to his life for a little bit. But
No, there is no life for me until Thursday.
there you are. Okay. This
Not
is
normal life.
Sorry.
Not normal life. Not until Thursday afternoon.
That's going to be a big letdown after Thursday. You're not going to know what to do with yourself.
I wouldn't mind that, as long as I
Sure you
talk.
You think? I'll talk to you on Friday, see how you feel.
No, I think it will be like you say, but what I mean at the moment is I'm more focused on just like getting it finished, getting it done, than worrying about this, what comes next.
I'd like to play a song. Can I do that?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Webheads all over the world. We're webheads. We're all over the world. 24/7. We're online. Doesn't really matter. Whatever the time, someone's there to answer the call. Webheads all over the world. Webheads are all over the world. You want to know how to do it right, or maybe you're lonely in the middle of the night. Someone's there to answer your call. webheads all over the world. We're webheads all over the world. Wanna join your class across the world? Or you want an expert to talk to them live? Someone will answer your call. Webheads all over the world. Webheads, we're all over the world. We're going on a journey to a foreign land. Wanted me to defender to show you around. Someone there will let you go. Webheads all over the world. We're webheads, we're all over the world. Learning together, sharing our views. Living together, sharing our views. Always someone there on the same wavelength. In the webheads all over the world. Webheads, we're all over the world. Webheads all over the world. Webheads, we're all over the world.
Okay, thank you, Michael Coughlin. Let's see. Everyone's going to have to unmute yourself because there was a lot of noise, and I finally found the person. It wasn't Rita because I didn't have to mute her. But anyway, no problem. But anyhow, that's Webheads all over the world. Michael Coughlin, one of the original Webheads.
Thanks to Ali for sharing his research and for doing the research, and it's been nice to spend a little time with you all this morning, and now I think I better go be a guest. I'm at my sister's house, so I'm going to close. See you again online.
Thank you for participating.
Thank you, Ali.
Thank you for everyone who joined.
Everything for giving us this joy. Thank you very, very much. And once again, thank you, Vance, because you've been the maker, the doer, the one who really, well, gets us together. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, and bye, Sabrina and Gary. And dude, I'll be back. That's supposed to hear some barking. Dude's their dog. Dude, you have to tell dude you'll be back. Okay, well, gosh, Ali, that was a really great session. We really appreciate your doing your research, and don't forget to unmute yourself. You're muted. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, I didn't realize that.
I muted you because I was trying to find the source of the sound.
Oh, so was it me?
No, it wasn't you. You were fine.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, I was just muting people until I got rid of the hissing.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it wasn't you.
No. Yeah, well, I hope it was good enough. Well, I really enjoy studying Webheads, I should be honest with you, and I really love what I did. Otherwise, I don't think I would have had the power to continue. And it's been great experience in studying Webheads, I would say. Sorry, this was I don't know, I really wanted to go in much more detail, but given the time limitations, I couldn't really touch on all aspects. There are different points, different aspects that I wanted to talk about as well, like the technology aspect, like the use of CMC tools, like email. It really works good. People seem to really prefer that. And some other things as well. But I hope once I am done, I can't really share the PhD dissertation at the moment with you guys, but once I am done, once I am finished, I hope I will be sharing it with you so that people can read and see if what I discussed suits their context. And yeah, let's hope it will be here soon with the Webheads.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate you doing this study. It's certainly re-energized our group. So it's been a really, you've been a wonderful webhead. You've really pulled us together at a different dimension. So it's been really
I'm happy if I have been able to contribute in this sense. That will make me feel really good. And I think I sort of agree to what you just said about this. Yeah, I was able to see people when telling me their experiences of the community, they were remembering the times, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we did this and that." Yeah, we are. It was like I was getting the feeling. Oh yeah, that's a great community. Look at that. What they have done. Wow.
Wow, thanks very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not me, it's them, it's everybody, you know, it's
well, yes and no, I will say. If you ask me that question, I will say yes and no. Yes, in the sense it's an effort of everyone, but no, because if it hasn't been your continuous efforts, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't be correct for me to tell that, but there is a certain aspect and effect that you have on the community, which I should admit and say that everyone mentioned. There's no single, even there was someone who has just become a member, like in the last 3-4 months when I conducted the research, and even that member was talking, okay, oh yeah, Vance.
Well, thanks very much.
So,
I really appreciate it. You
Right.
made my evening.
Cheers, Vance. I'll be in touch, and hopefully as soon as possible I will share the dissertation with you guys as well.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, cheers.
Okay.
Have a good night. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.